For years, the Beckham name represented unity, glamour, and control. But behind the polished photos and public smiles, a deeply personal conflict has been unfolding. And now it's impossible to ignore. At the center of it all is Brooklyn Beckham, once seen as the heart of the famous family, now standing firmly apart from his parents, David and Victoria Beckham. What began as quiet rumors of tension has grown into a full-scale emotional divide involving his wife, Nicola Peltz, and her powerful family, including billionaire investor Nelson Peltz. The breaking point came when Brooklyn publicly defended Nicola and accused his parents of caring more about their public image than their family relationships. The message was direct, emotional, and unmistakable. He made it clear that his loyalty lies with his wife, no matter the cost. Fans were stunned, not just by what he said, but by how final it sounded. There was no hint of reconciliation, no suggestion of ongoing conversations, just a clean, painful separation. Behind-the-scenes reports suggest communication between Brooklyn and his parents had already collapsed long before the public statement. Insiders claim legal boundaries were put in place, with requests that any contact go through representatives rather than direct conversation. For a family once known for closeness, that shift signaled something far more serious than a temporary disagreement. According to sources close to the situation, David and Victoria attempted to reach their son privately with a heartfelt letter. It wasn't about blame or control. It was about concern. They simply wanted reassurance that their relationship with Brooklyn hadn't completely vanished. But instead of calming tensions, the effort appeared to deepen the divide. Much of the speculation surrounding this feud traces back to Brooklyn and Nicola's wedding. What should have been a joyful celebration reportedly became a moment of lasting resentment. Accounts differ, but Brooklyn later described feeling humiliated during a key moment of the event, claiming boundaries were crossed in a way that changed how he saw family loyalty. Since then, distance has only grown. Family gatherings reportedly go unattended, invitations declined, and communication remains limited. The silence between both households has become as loud as any public statement. Observers also point to the contrasting worlds Brooklyn now navigates. He lives largely within the Peltz family's orbit, socially, emotionally, and geographically. Meanwhile, his siblings continue to maintain close ties with their parents, further highlighting how personal this separation appears to be. Nelson Peltz, known in business circles for discipline and precision, has remained publicly silent throughout the situation. That silence has fueled speculation, particularly because of his reputation as a decisive and strategic figure. Reports suggest he has privately questioned Brooklyn's career direction, which has shifted between photography, cooking, and influencer ventures over the years. Another frequently discussed detail is the reportedly strict prenuptial agreements signed before Brooklyn and Nicola's marriage. While standard in high-profile unions, some insiders believe it reinforced concerns from the Beckham side about their son's long-term emotional and financial security should relationships fracture further. But beyond wealth and power, some voices have urged a more human perspective. A former youth football coach who worked with Brooklyn years ago described a young man growing up under intense pressure, surrounded by security, expectations, and constant public attention. According to him, fame created a childhood far removed from normal stability, a factor that may still influence decisions today. This interpretation reframes the story not as a simple family feud, but as a deeply personal struggle for independence and identity. Brooklyn insists he is making his own choices. Critics argue he has simply shifted from one powerful family structure to another. In recent months, small signs of change have reportedly emerged. Sources suggest a private gathering brought both families into the same space for the first time in years. The meeting was described as tense but emotional, marked by cautious conversation rather than confrontation. No official statements followed, but insiders say something shifted, not resolution, but possibility. Meanwhile, public interest remains intense. The Beckham family continues to express, through close contacts, that their door remains open. Brooklyn, however, has stood by his decisions, emphasizing personal truth over public reconciliation. As of early 2026, neither side has confirmed a full reunion, but reports indicate both families remain aware that time may eventually force a new chapter, whether that means healing or permanent separation. What makes this story resonate isn't fame or fortune. It's the universal tension between loyalty and independence, love and identity, family and self. And for Brooklyn Beckham, the path forward remains uncertain, shaped by choices that may define not just his career, but where he ultimately calls home.